It is September 15th, 2021. Wall Street looks across the Atlantic and locks its gaze on a German upstart with a moonshot idea. The company is called Lilium. The dream is bold: build electric flying shuttles and change how cities move. That very day, Lilium rings in its debut on the Nasdaq, the stage for the world's biggest tech names. The valuation lands at a dazzling 2.5 billion euros. Here is the crazy part. Lilium has not booked a single euro in revenue. No one has ever flown its aircraft with a pilot on board. And the machine relies on a concept that pushes right up to the edge of physics. Fast forward 3 years and the question hits like a cold splash. Is Lilium finished? Or is there another twist? This story is about giant visions, glossy videos, and a founder who makes huge promises and struggles to keep them. At the center stands Daniel Wiegand. He helped start Lilium and shaped its identity. Getting him on record would be great, yet given the company's troubles, he is not talking. What we do know is that Wiegand grew up obsessed with flight. In interviews, he paints the picture of a kid who studied birds in slow motion with his dad and chose pets with feathers. Whether every detail is exact or not, one thing is clear: he knows how to tell a compelling story. The path feels almost scripted. At 14, he starts a glider license. At 19, he enters a youth science contest with an aircraft project. He then studies aerospace at the Technical University of Munich. In 2013, during a semester abroad in Glasgow, his life reroutes. On YouTube, he stumbles on a clip of the Boeing Osprey, a hybrid that rises like a helicopter and cruises like a plane. A VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. Watching that video, he thinks that is the ideal city machine. No runway needed, liftoff near where people live and work. The hitch is obvious. The Osprey is a fuel-guzzling military beast and way too loud. So he reframes the idea: make it electric, make it efficient, make it quiet. An eVTOL that can land on a pad and whisk you across a metro area. In February 2015, Wiegand and 3 classmates register a startup in Munich. They name it Lilium, a nod to pioneer Otto Lilienthal, who tragically died in a crash in 1896. The symbolism is hard to ignore. Great ambition comes with real risk. April 2017, Lilium turns 2 and drops a video that races through tech blogs and social feeds. A sleek 2-seat prototype slides off the ground and hovers. The magic sits in the propulsion. 36 small electric fans are tucked into the wings and can tilt. For takeoff, the fans aim down and push the aircraft up. Once high enough, they rotate forward to create thrust. On arrival, they pivot again and the craft settles vertically. The images look futuristic. A lot of viewers felt sure the air taxi revolution was days away. The detail you did not see on screen. That craft was an unmanned demonstrator, closer to a scaled model than a finished passenger aircraft. It weighed a fraction of what the real product would weigh. Investors still take notice. Early backers start championing the vision on talk shows and podcasts. Meanwhile, industry veterans urge caution. Lars Reinhold, editor-in-chief of Aerokurier, watches the rise and highlights a brutal truth. Getting heavy things to hover on electric power eats energy fast. That challenge sits at the heart of any VTOL dream. The pitch remains intoxicating. Imagine this. You need to get from Munich to Nuremberg in half an hour. No gridlock, no stress. You open an app, book a seat, and a pilot lifts you in a whispery electric jet at highway times 5. Lilium prefers to call it a shuttle rather than a taxi. News headlines gush. Expectations soar. May 2019 brings another reveal. Lilium shows a new 5-seat prototype and releases more hovering footage. Inside the company, it feels like a leap. Outside, critics note that the video is heavy on emotion and light on hard engineering data. Then, in January 2020, the trade magazine Aerokurier publishes a cover story with a stinging conclusion. A veteran aerospace engineer had run the numbers on Lilium's publicly shared performance claims. Under optimistic assumptions, he calculated a practical range of roughly 18 kilometers, not 300. Hover time on the battery looked like barely over a minute. Several professors reviewed the math and landed in the same ballpark. Lilium rejects the findings and says the critics make faulty assumptions. The debate rages, but uncertainty lingers. Despite the storm, money keeps flowing. In March 2020, Lilium secures more than 220 million euros from investors. The startup crosses the unicorn line. That same year comes a headline order. Brazilian airline Azul signs up for 220 aircraft for future operations around Sao Paulo. There is a catch, though. No one has flown a Lilium craft with a person on board. Yet, the company targets the first commercial passengers as soon as 2025. The gap between promise and proof stays wide and expensive. September 15, 2021 marks the financial high point. Lilium hits the public markets in New York via a SPAC called Qell Acquisition Corp. Think of a SPAC as an empty box already listed on the exchange that merges with a private firm and takes its name. Lilium uses this backdoor to raise about $584 million. The valuation lands above 2.5 billion euros. That puts the startup in the same weight class as established companies that already bring in hundreds of millions in revenue. Lilium has none. What it does have is a story the world wants to believe. The narrative keeps expanding. Just before the listing, the cabin grows from 4 to 6 seats in the plan. Investor decks even float a future 16-seat variant. Financial projections go into hyperdrive. By 2026, one aircraft is expected to generate around $5 million per year. By 2027, total revenue is projected in the billions. The confidence is breathtaking. The contradictions are too. Many key metrics remain undisclosed. For a long time, no one outside the company knows how loud the aircraft truly is because marketing clips replace engine noise with music. When real audio finally surfaces, the sound is sharper and stronger than the dream suggested. Questions pile up, answers do not. Then come the delays. Since 2015, there has been no full-range test across the promised distance. The first crewed flight keeps sliding and lands on a new target of 25. Claimed range keeps shrinking. First 500 kilometers, then 300, then 175. Startups adjust roadmaps all the time, yet the pattern erodes trust. Saying you can hit a date in such a complex field and missing it again and again turns belief into doubt. Markets notice. In spring 2022, Lilium's stock dips under $3. Reports describe staff frustration, calling Wiegand brilliant yet controlling and prone to overcommit. Lilium declines to answer detailed questions about internal culture. In August 2022, Wiegand steps down as CEO and becomes chief engineer and a board member. The company brings in Klaus Rowe, an aviation manager with decades of experience. The mission for Rowe is simple to say and hard to do. Fly a person safely in a Lilium jet and prove the concept, or face the consequences. By June 2024, the pressure is intense. Lilium has raised around 1.9 billion euros in total and still has not flown with a pilot on board. The stock price sinks below $1. In a letter to investors, the company says it needs another 300 million euros. Private markets feel tapped out. So Lilium turns to the state. Germany has a track record of stepping in to protect strategic industries. The government supported the Lufthansa Group during the pandemic and later exited with a gain. The case for Lilium is trickier. No one has proven that electric air shuttles can make money at scale. It is a bet on a future category that might not arrive. The debate gets political. Should Germany back a domestic deep tech hope to keep know-how at home? Or should it let market forces decide and risk losing the tech abroad? On October 17, 2024, the Budget Committee in Berlin meets for the verdict. Bavaria offers a €5 million guarantee on the condition that the federal government joins. After weeks of argument, the ruling coalition says no. Several leaders, especially from the Greens, push back on the bailout idea. With that, Lilium announces insolvency. As winter closes in, the company prepares to dismiss its roughly 1,000 employees. The dream looks over. Then, a twist. Right before Christmas, a new investor group steps in with 200 million euros. Not everyone returns, yet about 750 people keep their jobs. Operations restart. The aircraft is still a promise, but the lights stay on. The question hangs in the air. For how long? There is a saying in startup land, fake it till you make it. Few founders have practiced the art of selling a future as effectively as Daniel Wiegand. He carried the banner for flying shuttles for years and raised hundreds of millions on conviction and charisma, in a way that is the founder's job: inspire. At some point, though, inspiration must meet demonstration. Lilium has not crossed that line yet. The company found a last-minute lifeline, yet without a crewed flight, real range tests, and a credible path to certification and economics, even patient investors run out of time. So what remains is a cliffhanger, a startup with a spectacular promise, brilliant engineers, and a history of missed milestones. A market that wants cleaner, faster city travel, but has not cracked the energy math of vertical flight. A founder who can fill a room with belief, and a team that needs hard data to back it up. Maybe the next chapter delivers the proof. Maybe it delivers a lesson. Either way, the Lilium saga captures our era. Big visions, big money, big consequences. The dream of the electric city jet is alive, just barely, and the clock is ticking.